Phillips' report at the top of the show, you heard that part of an audio clip that the nonprofit ProPublica says it obtained from inside a U.S. Customs and Border Protection facility. Heartbreaking voices of frightened children wailing, just crying out for their parents. I want to play a little bit more of that audio file.
¿De dónde son ustedes? ¿Y tú?
Guatemala.
No llores. Vas a llegar con... Mira, ella te va a explicar y te va a ayudar. ¿Cierto, Consul?
¿Qué va a pasar con su consulado?
Papá. Papá. Con mi tía por lo menos para que después llegue mi mami.
¿Me puedes abrir la puerta? Ahí me cerró la puerta esa.
Que me venga a traer mi tía para llevarme.
Ella llama a tu tía si tú tienes número y habla con tu tía.
Tengo el número de...
Ah, pues ahorita ella te ayuda para que hables. Cálmate nada más.
No, papá.
Voy por aquí.
I want to bring in senior reporter at ProPublica, Ginger Thompson. She's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist who has been helping to bring this recording to light. She joins us now. Ginger, thank you for your reporting and for sharing that audio clip with the world. You know, listening to it just now and listening to it in its 8-minute entirety, it is stark, it is emotional, it is devastating to listen to. How did you feel when you first heard it?
I felt all those things, obviously. I mean, I think it's excruciating to listen for an entire 7 minutes of children wailing and wailing as if crying mommy and papi, as if those are the only words they knew.
Yeah, and in the recording we hear the 6-year-old girl from El Salvador, and she says she's only 6 years old. She has her aunt's phone number memorized, and you managed to track her down, her aunt down. What were you able to find out about the girl?
So this is a little girl who has been traveling more than a month to get here, crossing Guatemala, Mexico, and then the United States border. Her mother paid $7,000 fleeing gang violence in El Salvador, which we all know is at rampant rates. It's a country with one of the highest homicide rates in the world. And so she and her mother took this very perilous trek across a large swath of the continent to get here. They were intercepted pretty quickly when they crossed the border and were taken to this border detention facility, a Border Patrol facility, and that's where they were separated.
And is there a chance that her mother could be deported without her?
Well, so the little girl is now in a different facility, in a different shelter, and she has told her aunt that one of the things that she's been told at the center is that her mother could indeed be deported before her. And we've actually heard other cases. I've heard many other cases from other lawyers who have had parents sent back to their home countries without their children.
And this is the chilling revelation here, because American authorities say that parents are not supposed to be deported without their children. But is this happening because of the chaos and because of the bureaucracy?
Well, it seems that the administration has established a plan for separating parents from their children, but not established a plan for reuniting those parents with their children once their cases have been resolved. And you know, it just adds more sort of fear to the implementation of this zero-tolerance policy.
And it adds to more outrage when you hear about this. So how do we move forward from this? How do we end this zero-tolerance policy, and how do we reunite these separated families?
Well, I think, you know, how do we end this is sort of a question I think we are putting to our government. You know, the wisdom of this policy is one that is under great debate, and the purpose of our story and the reason that we felt that this tape was so important is that it adds the voices of the people who have most at stake in this debate, the voices that have been largely missing from this debate. I think there are people who have tried to keep this debate sort of a very sanitized, very staged debate about a policy. And I think if you defend this policy and if you think this policy is morally correct and wise, it's important to at least know very clearly what this policy is and what this policy does. And I think that's what this tape shows us, and I think that's why it's important.
Yeah, this tape is very important, this tape that you obtained and have shared with the world, because up to now, we hadn't heard from the children, and you have broken their silence with this powerful audio recording. Was this the only way for the world to find out what's happening to them?
Well, there's been very limited access to the detention facilities where these children are separated from their parents. In recent days, and because of the mounting pressure on the administration over this policy, authorities on the border have begun to allow very limited tours of these facilities. Reporters are slowly being allowed in, but they're allowed in without cameras, and they're not allowed to speak to any of the people who are detained in these facilities. And so it is the voices of the children. We have had sort of people talk to us about what the experience of these children is, but until this tape, we haven't heard directly from the children themselves.